G'day guys, Tommy here, and today I'm going to give you a behind the scenes look of the intro I did for Since Spacies. The reaction to it has been rather overwhelming. It has surprised me that how well it's doing and how popular it is with people, so I thought that maybe I might give you a little behind the scenes for you so you can really dig into this thing and enjoy it for what we can. So this all starts off back in January. I'm talking to Brian from Since Spacies about being a guest on the Since Spacies show, and the original intention was for me to be on the first episode for 2020, January. At the time, I was under the impression that I was not available. I wasn't going to be available. That, however, changed like 2 days beforehand. But we had set it up that I was going to appear on February's episode, which I did, and that's episode 14 of the Since Spacies show. I'm also on there with Lucas and Snooge from the Aussie Gamers Experience. There's a link down below. Go check it out if you haven't. It's a lot of fun. So, in discussions with that, we sorted all that out, and then we come closer to the date of me going to be a guest, getting everything all set up. One of the things that Brian wanted was a photo to make thumbnails for. So we iron out all that we have to do. I'm giving, how he wants it, stuff like that. So I go and take a few shots. I'll probably take about 6. One of them, as a joke, because by this time on Twitter, I'm getting known as Aussie Jesus and the Bearded Rock God. So for some reason, it just popped in my head to play off that. And I'm standing next to my linen closet, and I come across a tan bed sheet. I thought, oh, that'll work. So I wrap myself up around it, make myself look all Jesus-esque, stuff like that, and take this photo and send it to Brian as a joke, just being funny. Well, he absolutely loved this photo and told me, he goes, "That's gold, I'm using it." At which point I said, okay, because the other photos were just like me, putting on a smile and stuff like that, or giving a thumbs up or whatever. That one was really full on. So he ran with it. At which point he talks to me about doing an intro for him. He was getting all different content creators to do intros for him. So we look at that, and I said, yep, I can do that for you, stuff like that. I'll come up with some ideas. But at this point, I'm still coming up with ideas for the whole Bearded Rock God thing. So I come up with this idea, this crazy idea, and I get the camera out and I start filming. I come up with this idea. I had one that was a bit longer, and then I shortened it, edited together, and came up with this.
This is the Bearded Rock God Tommy K. You're watching Since Spacies.
So I did all this, edited it, stuff like that, came up with the guitar power chord that I used, stuff like that, and I didn't feel like I wanted to send it to him. 2 reasons. A, I thought it was too long. Even when I shortened the longer version down, it was still 16 seconds, which is double the time that Brian wanted. So I thought, oh, okay. Also, I thought we'd just done the whole Bearded Rock God thing. I'd done it twice by that point. I had a wrestling character that I came up with for a Twitter video where I used Bearded Rock God as my wrestling name. That was for when I got WWF Raw on the Mega Drive. And then we'd done the thumbnails for Since Spacies show. So I thought, I don't want it to be coming like flogging a dead horse. So so I didn't use it. I finished it and edited it. I didn't send it to Brian. I sat there and said, no, I'm not doing that. The very next night, I came up with something completely different, something very plain, vanilla, and bleh, and sent that to him. And I did say to him, I said, if I come up with anything else, I'll send it to you. This is just... So I sat there and said, I promised you, here's something. And he was cool with that. We're then talking about, on Twitter, a whole bunch of us, the whole Aussie Jesus bearded rock god thing. I think this was during the time of the Golden Axe audio book. And somehow it had come up. Anyway, I had a screenshot from that original video. And I posted up, just joking, saying, was doing more Jesus stuff the other night, but decided not to go ahead with it. So here's a funny screenshot, so at least there's some value to me doing this thing. At which point, Spacies jumps in and starts chatting away. He was on Twitter at the time. So I actually DM'd him. I said, this was actually for you. This was for an intro that I didn't send to you. I had the finished file, so I sent it to him as a joke. I said, I wasn't going to send this to you, but I'll send this to you. You might get a laugh out of it. Not expecting him to use it. And I did say to him, I said, look, I didn't send it to you because it's too long. Well, once again, Brian has this thing about me being Jesus that he finds absolutely hilarious. He goes, no, I want to use that. So I said, okay. He then said to me a couple of hours later, he said, I'm going to try and chroma key out the grey background and tinker around with it. I said, go for it. This was created for you. You tinker with it as much as you like. No dramas whatsoever with me. I then get told that he was then having issues with it and just sitting and said, hang on, I'll see what I can do. I said, okay. He said, I'm having trouble with it because it's not really green. And he was having trouble with the cloth I was wearing being too close in shade to the background I had. Although in the video you can see there's a difference with a computer. It does pick up stuff like that, which I totally get and I've had trouble with myself. So I sat there and said to him, look, there might be another way I can do this. He was really, he's sort of a little bit worried because he felt that the original one was the perfect tape. I sat there and said, I can try and replicate that as best I can. I said, there's an option we can try. I'm not promising anything, but I'm more than happy to give it a go for you this weekend. And that was for me to reenact what I had done as close as I can in front of a green screen. Now, here's the thing. I don't have a green screen. I don't have the technology to do green screen stuff like that. All that. I'm not running a full-blown computer for editing stuff like that. Majority of 95% of my editing when I do stuff like this is on my phone. The playthroughs are done on my PlayStation 4 through Share Factory. So Brian sat there and said that he was happy to do, if I could get it in some form of green, he would be happy to do the green screen editing on his end. So one Sunday, I think it was Sunday, I wrap myself up in the bedsheet again and I stand in front of this slightly olive green doona cover that's been here since about 1984. So I get some thumbtacks, I thumbtack at the wall, and I film myself reenacting what I'd done before in front of this green. Get it all chopped up and edited. I didn't add the lightning or the smoke effects because that was also causing issues for Brian, so it was just me in front of the green reenacting it. I then chopped it up, edited out all the excess, re-recorded the guitar because Brian really loved that guitar. Record that, send the file. He did all the stuff that he could on his end to make it work, and the result came across pretty damn well. And it's the result that you have seen on the April State of the Channel video. If you haven't seen it, there's a link down below. Go check it out. Anyways, I hope you guys have enjoyed that little behind the scenes look, and I'll see you around.